You found us on We Fixed Real Estate. I'm your host, Drew Hendricks. We're talking with Fred Glick, real estate icon. No response. And René Perez.
No, I'm the real estate antichrist. It's different.
René Perez, the incredibly fly real estate savant.
I don't know if Fred realizes that him calling himself that is not a good thing. And
That's it. Well, no, it is. It's and happy Antichrist Christmas to everyone. I'm the Antichrist to the realtors who have perpetuated, all the stuff that they're doing and getting in trouble for it now. So I do something completely different than them, and that's what makes me their Antichrist. But consumers, though, I'm Christ.
Anti-NAR.
Right.
Talking about NAR, GNAR. We're talking about NAR, the National Association of Realtors. But we have tiraded on that for the last few weeks. Today, we got a new topic. An election year is coming up. And there's this kind of old theory that we're trying to investigate. What happens with housing in an election year?
I think there's a lot of differences in depending on the market, right? Like when you talk about like California, for example, you live in a world where like it doesn't matter who's going to be president because people still want to live here, right? And pay that California tax, right? So elections don't matter in that regard. And actually, I think, so the reason we brought up this conversation was because someone asked us like, oh, I think we should wait and buy closer to the election because I heard that house prices go down in election years. And like, if you look at it like from a Bay Area perspective, and we saw this when the president from China came to San Francisco, it seemed like they cleaned up San Francisco, right? And so in a world where, my take is that I don't know who people are going to vote for, but I think that Gavin Newsom is going to run for president. In a world where he runs for president, one of his conversation is going to be, I'm going to clean up San Francisco, right? I mean, that's his whole take is going to be to like, oh, we're going to revitalize.
We have a bigger agenda than that. If he's running,
wait. He's not going to run for president and say he's going to make San Francisco better. That's crazy.
No, but if you're running for president, you want to see that you're going to change something, right? And now,
globally, not local.
Well, not
locally,
local, but a lot of what people are going to hit on him for is going to be like, oh, San Francisco is garbage.
It's a mess.
Right. And California as a whole is filled with homelessness and blah, blah, blah. Right. So his whole thing is going to just like create this. I mean, just in general, like, okay, we're changing the tune. We're making San Francisco better. We're revitalizing it. Things are changing. So what's going to happen? As they so quote, clean up San Francisco and other places in California, prices in San Francisco, for example, are bound to go up, right? Because like people might think, oh, it's okay, it's changing, right? So my take is that in a world where an election is happening, and people are going to say negative things about the way San Francisco is being handled, LA is handled, all these, huge metropolitan areas, it actually goes higher in an election year.
Well, I guess so your governor's running in that state. He's going to clean up the state that he's in to show what good work he's done.
Exactly.
Guys, this has nothing to do with it. In an election year, here's what it's all about. It's all about buying a house. You put in your mind, it's like, my job's secure. I want to establish roots. And then it comes down to, the rates are too high or the rates are good.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. The supply is there, the demand and the rates are coming down. So the problem is there's going to be more buyers because the rate is coming down. I forget, there was some statistic like for every half a point in rate, half a million people or a million people qualify now, or 5 million. It was some insane number, and it's generalized and it's all over the nation. But the bottom line is you're going to see two things. You're going to see refinances. That's already started. But the second thing, you're going to see more buyers and more people getting qualified. So what happens? Supply, demand. Again, I've talked about this a million times. This is all about supply and demand. When the supply stays about the same and maybe goes up a little bit, which is what I think is going to happen in this next year, the demand is going to increase and it's going to be back to stupid. At least there's in California and the high-end stuff and But the vanilla place, I don't know. Let's pick Riverside, California. I mean, it's slowed down. There's not as much employment, but who knows? Somebody comes in and wants to build a mega factory and employ 10,000 people. Well, guess what? They don't have the number of houses. The supply is low. The demand is high. So you see what it is? Look at your local market, supply, demand, throw in the interest rates. Forget that it's an election year. Because they're going to be screaming about other crap. They're not screaming about housing.
Okay, fine. We'll make it a supply demand problem and an election problem. So let's put it supply.
It's the problem of uncertainty.
Yeah. So and the other
Always
thing can happen. So the other thing that can happen is, as an election year does loom. Okay, how does the legislation change? And you see it in places like Palm Springs, right, where they limit Airbnb usage. You have all these people that have listened to become an investor, buy a house and rent it out. So what happens when you have a mixture of a lot of inventories from rentals that are no longer being able to use as Airbnb? And you see this not just in things like places like Palm Springs, but in places like Napa, right, where there are limits as to how you can rent out a property. And so there's that angle of no more Airbnbs in a lot of places, and people wanting to downsize. I mean, we are the next 5 years or 5-10 years, you do have the generation of people who want to move to smaller places, right? And, not to be cynical, but people do die off. There's a lot of generation that have multiple properties. What happens then, right? So we could kind of see the movement of more, way more supply, especially because I think I saw an article saying that this year was one of the lowest transaction volume since 2008, which again, totally different market from what was happening in 2008 to now. But
that sounds like a generalized national number, right?
I think it was a national number. Right. I don't know. Actually, that would be a good thing to check.
I did. So on a national level, because you mentioned this a couple of days ago and it got me thinking. So I did a lot of research, and I think a lot of people there's a lot of noise right now with the election go down in election year. But if you track all the past elections, there is a marginal decline across the United States in an election year on housing. But if you look at each one of those declines, it was more macroeconomic factors that had nothing to do with the election. It's just a coincidence. So what we have to look at going into 2024 is, yes, there's going to be a lot of noise with the election, but is it really affecting housing and the uncertainty of it?
Yeah, if you looked at the 2008 election and, there was a crisis going on in real estate, and yes, values went down, right? It went down, but it was caused by the idiocracy of those, the two Fed chairs in that period of time, Ben Bernanke and Alan Greenspan, supposed to be brilliant geniuses. Well, if they're such geniuses, how could they not tell that 100% option arm, 1% made up interest rate was not going to come back and haunt everybody? Come on. That was pathetic. It was absolutely pathetic, but that's more thing. The other thing is, and I'll throw this out to be a little controversial, but if the wrong guy gets elected in November, and on day one of his term in 2025, he does become he does things that the Constitution doesn't allow. Let's put it that way. There'll be a lot of people saying, I'm out of here. And, that's when our Mexico business is going to get really busy. And we're going to have plenty of supply to sell. So there's how an election might impact it. So if that's the case, you're going to get tons and tons of stuff. Yeah, values are going to go down, but you may not have a job because the economy starts falling. So, it's all tied together.
A lot of
the bottom line is all real estate is local. You're only buying one house in one neighborhood. Okay. So look at the neighborhood. Know you want to live there. You're going to live there a long time. That's the other thing. We get people, they lose houses by $5,000. They say, oh, I'm not paying anymore. It's like, dude, you're going to own this house 20 years. You're not going to remember what you paid for it. And $5,000 isn't going to be anything because values are just going to keep going up in California 20 years from now. Inflation's going to go up. The values are going to go up. That's why people buy real estate and don't buy real estate. It's like, you can't be chicken. I want it for what the value is today. That's not what you're buying. You're buying this piece of land that just happens to have real estate on it. That's going to be a long-term hold. Doesn't matter what you buy it for. So
Yeah, you look at it in the scope of the interest rates, $5,000's what? I mean, you're paying 99% interest anyways, the first few years. $5,000's going to work out to like $2.
yeah, I mean, it's nothing. It's just right.
$2 a
Exactly.
month, I think.
And you got and for an advertisement, you got our rebate to help you get up in price. So don't forget that, kiddies.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's
One more
enough on
pronunciation
politics of the election.
And we do talk about this quite a bit though, but I mean, we're recording this in the week of December 12th or so. And, the Fed chairman just talked and he's kind of hinting at 3 rate reductions.
The rate. Here's the bottom line. Follow core CPI, core PPI. Those are coming down. That's all that counts. As soon as the bond market sees that, they say, wow, rates are going to come down. So I heard something really stupid yesterday, or a headline from a news organization that claims to be in the real estate business saying, Fed to lower mortgage rates 3 times next year. Like, no, that's not the way it works. Federal Reserve funds, you can't borrow them. Only a bank can borrow them. They have nothing to do with mortgage rates. There's been days where the Fed raises rates, and guess what? The mortgage rates go down because everybody knew it, and maybe they think the next way is down. So it's one's got nothing to do with the other. Mortgage-backed securities. That's it. 100% of why mortgage rates move. Not even the 10-year treasury, because that's sort of a benchmark, but it's not. It's because there can be supply factors. There could be a company going out of business, selling off its portfolio that kills the bond market because the prices are going to go up because of supply. I mean, or up or down. I mean, we just don't know. So don't try to outsmart the market. Don't try to outthink the market. But do not even think about the Fed when it comes to mortgage rates. Only if you've got a home equity line of credit, because that's prime plus, but not on a 30-year fix. Fed's got nothing to do with 30-year fix. 0. Okay, I'm done. 2 cups of coffee later.
Well, so election year, we're all going to wait and see. But
Exactly.
don't get too involved in the noise, and my advice is try to also kind of distinguish it. There are people writing blog articles just for probably blog articles because they
Clickbait.
sense of the data. No, I mean, keep an eye out for that. But let's shift. I want to shift to this ADUs, and there's a new grant program that just opened for funding last week or first this week.
Well, there's a couple of things about ADUs. Let me go backwards. So the state of California passed a law that said, if you own a single family house and you have the room, and I won't go into what the room is, to put in a ADU, a second little property, a container home, a prefab, whatever you're putting there, what they're going to let you do now is make your single family home this land, forget the building right now, the land, into a condominium as opposed to fee simple. And what does that mean? Basically, it means, let's say you have your single family house, it's on 2/3 of the land. And then there's this ADU you put on that's 1/3 of the land. So you have a controlling interest of 66%, and they have 33% of the condominium. So you're going to have rules, regulations, just like it was a high rise, but it's obviously not. It's 2 singles. And that means you can then sell off that ADU to somebody else. So now we're going to add a lot of property into the housing market. And you know what? It might be, and René, you even mentioned people scaling down. Somebody might say, look, I have this 4-bedroom house. My kids are gone. I don't need it. I just need this little place. So they decide they put up the little ADU in the back and they live in there and they sell off the big house and pocket the money. So it's pretty cool. That'll be one way. Or they sell off the individual thing, to a person or couple or whomever, just this big 1-bedroom, whatever. But now comes the but. 2 things, 2 big problems. Each individual county must prove this. So I don't think a single county has approved it yet. Second of all, there are rules, and you have to follow these rules that Fannie Mae wants you to have in terms of reserve replacements. You need a reserve study. You need the proper insurance, blah, 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 blah. There's a whole bunch of things. And we're happy to help because we know what these things are when it comes to fruition. So to make these things financeable, because that's the big important thing, you're going to sell them off that way. So this is exciting. I haven't seen a single city approve it yet, but once they do, we'll be on it. And now separately, as Drew was talking about, there is a program, and I assume, Drew, we can put up the URL when we do this.
Yeah,
that talks about getting some special financing from the state for doing the ADUs.
Well,
So I won't go into all the
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's not just financing you, but it's a grant, right? It's a
grant. Yeah.
$40,000 grant. And again, like the problem with all these grants and programs that do exist is that there's only a small little gray area amount of people who actually qualify, right? Because they have income limits. So I think for this specific grant, I think the income limit is $110K.
Yeah, it's something like.
But it's something like
that's for
120.
one person.
Yeah, and married, I think it's 150. Like it's fairly limited.
Yeah.
So the problem is if you're making less than that, and an ADU is going to cost, 80 grand, where do you get that 40K, that other 40K from the grant, right? Because you do have permits too. I mean, the permits themselves, they can easily cost 40K, just a permit.
Yeah, I was gonna say the 40K is great for all the soft costs.
Yeah.
And maybe it's enough for laying the foundation and putting in pipes and electric to go if it comes down to it that you're going to throw something on a slab. So yeah, it helps something, but there's also going to be, once this condo thing goes through, it's going to be much easier because you're going to be able to just get a regular mortgage up to 95% loan to value up to $1,149,825. I haven't memorized that, but that's the new Fannie Mae 1-unit, California, like Los Angeles, San Francisco, the big city limitations. So 4-unit now is over $2 million, $2,211,600. So you can buy a 4-unit building, 5% down, and have a mortgage of $2 million and change, whatever I just said, owner occupied. So that's pretty cool. With mortgage insurance, with other things, probably reserves. Stuff is out there.
That's interesting. You got to keep us updated on that condo.
Yeah, I will.
The ability to divide your property without dividing your property.
Yeah. And I'm sure, there's going to be surveyors are going to be busy with this, mortgage approvals, property approvals. Yeah. So we'll all be into it. We'll be helping to get the properties approved, condos approved, telling you what to do as soon as this comes out, because we're learning every day.
Well, René, as we wrap down, any last words of wisdom?
No funny taglines today.
No funny taglines.
Yeah. But I will be,
how's the pulse of the market as we're wrapping down this year?
well, so I think actually I have a small little rant before I go. So I think what's happening right now, in terms of the market, I mean, there's a level of slowdown, right? Just for their winter break. But what I am seeing is a lot of real estate startups coming out. And the problem, and it is a small little rant because I went to a Christmas party Wednesday night and I spoke to a founder who was building this, as we talk about like building costs and et cetera, this founder that was taking the county records and showing how much a specific construction cost, right? So the kitchen remodel, it costs $150K for this person. So you as a consumer, if you're a neighbor, that's where you should be spending on, right? And it's like, okay, sure. I look at the cost. It doesn't actually have like there was a county record saying that a kitchen remodel cost $480K. And it's like in no universe is a kitchen remodel supposed to cost $450K. So then the founder tells me, it's because they mixed in a lot of different things and the county records didn't really transparently put the cost associated to what it was actually remodeled. It's not just a kitchen remodel. So it's like there's all these startups that are creating these products that are not actually functional. And then we'll stop it there. Thursday, so last night, I went to another Christmas party. There was another real estate founder who was building the same thing, different company, different everything. And it's just like, okay, how are you building this? Like, okay, well, we just thought it would be a good idea. It's like, okay, do you have any real estate experience? It's like, no. Founders who want to build something for real estate, but don't understand that real estate has not been displaced or just changed because they have no experience as to why things don't work.
Oh, and I love some of these guys, these founders. Oh, well, I'll just get an API from the MLS and then I'll parge all the documents and then I'll come up with all this. Guess what, guys? You can't have an API from any multiple listing service. Period, done, end of sentence. You want to put that stuff up on the web, you got to do it in their approved format. Period. That's it.
So this is my call for all real estate founders that are in.
Call us first.
Please let us. We will help you. We won't even charge you for a consultation because we want to change how real estate is done. Right. So please let us know what you're building and we will tell you why it will or won't work. And of course, it's like every founder's idea is like, oh, well, just because they told me it won't work, maybe I can make it work. Well, I mean, sure, you can do that. But then I can tell you, well, just so you know, 6 months ago, I worked with a founder that was trying to do this thing and then they gave up because they realized it wouldn't work. So I'm just trying to save even if you don't want to listen to me, maybe I can just put you and connect you with another founder that I spoke with and you guys can get together and say like, oh, what didn't work? Right. So please do let us know because I don't want something crappy being continued to build, especially when there's, you guys said you founders that have technical abilities, you guys can build something great. So I don't want anyone to waste their time. So yes, please reach out to us.
Yeah. And by the way, if there's somebody out there who wants to build something that's going to work, I have something. So just get in touch with me. That will revolutionize. I'm looking to pick somebody to build it right now. I got the specs done. So it's really interesting and will absolutely work and change how real estate is done. It's got nothing to do with how much the kitchen's going to cost. And guess what? All these things, how much a kitchen's going to cost. Once they get the contractors in and then the prices have already gone up and then you got to pay different labor costs and they're going to give you 6 different bids. So what you got is completely from the beginning.
Straight too. It's like the reality is that the county record is not going to show what someone in the back end negotiated down. And these contractors, they work under the table, like the people who really get the good deals, they're not going to be public records. Things go unpermitted, right? So it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Longer. So
good luck.
That's right. My rants before we close out this call.
Okay. And again, happy Antichrist Christmas to all of you Antichrists.
Oh, well.
I do not condone that. I'm extremely against that. So anyway.
Well, it's been another fun episode, guys.
Yeah. No, and everybody enjoy your time off in December and early January. Let's put it that way. It's the world's vacation.
Talk to everyone later. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.